everyone, this is Ashley with Marshflower Studio. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how I made this super cute little caterpillar. Got some little antennas. It's got his cute little legs down here. Very easy project. And you can really do a lot with it as far as color changes. You can make it longer. You can make it shorter if you want. I think shorter might be a little awkward. But very easy project, pretty quick to get done. These are probably going to do really well in the springtime. So for some of those, Easter baskets where you want something a little different than your typical, chick or bunny, these could be really, really cute. I have made these a couple times in the past. I did one with different shades of pink that turned out really adorable. You could put rattles inside of these, really easy, if you wanted them to be baby toys. This one does not have eyes on the front, but you could very easily add eyes. And I'll show you kind of where I would put those as I start working on the one I'm going to make for the video. Also, please remember to hit the like button and subscribe so you can see other videos as they come out. Make sure you check out some of the videos that have already been posted. There's some really great videos and little creatures like this one that you can make that are all basically beginner level kinds of projects. None of them take very long to make, so you could sit down and make one and then be done. I've seen a couple posts lately where someone is praising the people that make blankets, because blankets, while most of the time you're repeating the same pattern over and over and over again, it becomes a little tedious after a while, and it does take a longer time to finish those. So if you want something that is easy to do, isn't going to take a long time to make, you can make it and be done and move on. Most of my patterns are just that, okay? You can also find the written versions on Etsy. There will be a link in the description that'll take you straight to that if you would like to see the kind of typed out version, because I know sometimes following along with the video I kind of lose where I'm at, and then my stuff ends up being super weird when I follow along with other people's stuff. So the written version will be there as well, if you would like to download that. There are a couple different little social media sites that I'll talk about real fast, and then we'll get into our caterpillar. So I have the Etsy site where most of the patterns that I have gotten typed are posted, so you can check out those. On the Etsy site, I also have some of the crocheted stuffed animals that are bigger that I have made that are actually for sale themselves. I also have my own webpage, themarshflower.com, where I sell most of the things that I make. I also sell locally, so not everything that I've made is on there. There's a gallery page though, so you can check out all of the stuff in the gallery that I've uploaded. Most everything in the gallery is stuff that has been sold. So most of the new things that are currently for sale are not in the gallery page. So if there's anything in the gallery that you would like to see me make for a video, just pop it in the comments and I'll work on that. We also have, Facebook and Instagram at Marshflower Studio, so you can follow those pages and see some of the things that get posted there. I feel like I'm missing one, and I'm sure I'll think of it later. But moving on, we're going to start a little caterpillar. For this one, I'm going to go with, you know, the Very Hungry Caterpillar theme. That's something that's really popular as far as, you know, people just wanting to grab something quick and small for their kid that's super cute, or to go in a baby shower gift. Small little handmade things like this are awesome. So I've got my tomato red for his head, and then I have a couple different shades of green here. I've got my, what they call it, green apple. This one I believe is lettuce. This one is sage, and then we have I'm Jealous from the Crafter's Secret brand. So I've got those those four greens, and my red. I do have my stitch marker, and I use my large hairpins for that, just because for me, if you've seen other videos, I like these a lot better than the actual stitch markers, because it's easy to slip this on to a stitch. They flip out of the way. They're not all bulky and hanging out and kind of making things look weird. You can slip them back off super easy when you're ready to move on. I've got my yarn needle, and I do prefer these metal darning needles. They have this little bit of a bend to the end. I have found when I'm attaching parts and pieces, this little bit of a curve makes a big difference for me, as far as, you know, getting in and kind of hooking it back out. So I use these. You can find these, you know, pretty much anywhere that sells your crochet hooks and knitting needles and all that kind of stuff, and you can also find them online. So for this project, I am using a 4mm hook, just because with a lot of these smaller things especially, I like for them to be nice and tight, especially if littler kiddos are going to be playing with them. I don't want that stuffing to start coming out through the holes, so I use the 4mm to kind of help keep my stitches a little bit closer together. Personal preference. So we'll get started with our caterpillar head here, and we're going to have our magic circle. And we'll have 6 single crochets in our magic circle. And then we'll have 6 increases. All right, and then we will have an increase and a single crochet, and that'll take our round out to 18. All right, so make sure that middle is pulled nice and tight so that doesn't come back open. And then at this point, we are going to be doing 1 row of single crochet, and then we will do our row where we add our antennas. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. All right. And I'm going to do his antennas in the red, just to kind of make things nice and simple. And for the majority of this little caterpillar, it doesn't really matter where you start, as long as you kind of keep your color changes all kind of lined up in the same area. All right. So for our antenna, we're going to do a single crochet, and then in the front loop only, we're going to do a slip stitch and then a chain 4. All right, and then we're just going to slip stitch back down that chain. And then we'll move over to the next stitch and we'll have 4 single crochets. You could just do 3 if you would prefer to just do 3. I did 4 though, and then I'm going to do a slip stitch under the next stitch, my chain 4, and then we'll do our 3 slip stitches back down the chain. All right, and then we move on to our next single crochet. All right, so we'll single crochet to the end of the row, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right, so there's his little antennas, and you can make them longer if you want them to be longer. I just found that, especially working with smaller things that are meant for smaller kids, anything that's too long tends to get pulled on a lot more, and can end up, you know, kind of making some holes. So short, cute, they're there. We'll move on, and then, so our next little bit of a row here, I'm going to continue with my red. I'm going to do a single crochet in the next stitch. So then behind our antennas, there is the back loop of where we put these antennas through the front loop only. So we're going to go into that back loop for that single crochet, and then back up beside the antenna for the 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to do the same thing again with this antenna. We're going to go into that back loop to put our single crochet there, and then we will go back to up front. We'll just single crochet to the end of the row here. And then not to the end of the row. I'm going to stop with my red down here kind of in the middle of his tummy area. And I'm going to go ahead and do a slip stitch for my color change. And I'm going to move to this nice dark green first. And I like to tie my ends So we're done with red. We'll move the red over here out of the way. We'll tie a little square knot here where we're adding our green. And then we have, so I always do a slip stitch, and then we start a slip stitch with the color we're finishing, but we pull through our new color, and then we do a slip stitch with our new color. So essentially 3 slip stitches in a row to change the colors. That's how I do it. You can do it however you'd like. Okay, so we have 15 rows of just single crochet. And like I said before, you can do your color changes wherever you'd like. So if you want to have every single row be a different color, then make every single row a different color. So I'm going to do, I think 3 rows of this dark green. We'll tuck those little string tails down inside in a second. Alright, one more row of the dark green for me. And you could definitely do these in just a solid color. If you want to get fancy, you could also embroider some different shapes and patterns onto the sides and the back of your caterpillar. Alright, so this is where I'm going to do a color change again. So I did my slip stitch to end. I'm going to do a slip stitch. Just go ahead and grab some of this sage color. And I am going to cut my dark green off, just because having too many strings that are just kind of still attached to something else and hanging out tends to lead me to lots of tangles. So then I'll do my slip stitch to join, and then we'll start back with our single crochets. And I'll stop for just a second, and if you want to add eyes to your caterpillar, I don't know what size these are because it came in a pack of, you know, multiple different sizes, and they don't really ever tell you which ones are which, right? So you can kind of decide where you want to put these eyes for your caterpillar. And you could add a little smile right here. It'd be really cute. You could also kind of put them a little higher if you wanted, depending on, you know, what look you're going for. Having them a little higher between, let's see, 1, 2, 3, between 3 and 4 would give you more room for a bigger mouth. So up to you which row where you would like to put them, but they are really cute. I just tend to go no eyes, especially when I know it's going to be kind of marketed towards some of those smaller kids that aren't supposed to have, you know, safety eyes on things. So we'll do probably 2 rows of each of these other colors. I can hear one of my tiny tornadoes in there trying to sing along with Moana this morning. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and switch to another new color. We'll do our lettuce next. And these are, let's see, we have 3 different brands of yarn. So we have the Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek Chunky, although it's not chunky. The Soft and Sleek Low Pill Fiber. Our lettuce is just a number 4 worsted weight, and so is our darker green over here. But our lettuce is, I believe, one of the Super Saver colors. The red heart. And then our darker one is also from Hobby Lobby. Like our sage and our green apple, but it's Crafter's Secret. All right. So now I'm back to where I'm going to do another color change. And this time we'll pull in our green apple. I used to struggle with doing different colors like this together because, you know, you look at them next to each other on the skein and you're like, wow, that just clashes so bad. Like, whatever that is gonna look terrible. And then you actually use them in something together and you're like, you know, I'm glad I did that because it just really actually pulls the whole look together. right. Let me go back to our sage color. Tuck all these yarn tails down inside. And I have not been keeping up with how many rows I have. So as soon as I finish this one, I'm going to count, kind of see how many more we need. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm going to do 2 more of the lettuce and then 2 of the dark green, and then we'll close up his bum with the dark green still. If you've watched any of my other videos, you've probably noticed a trend that I like to do projects that can be a little bit more organic. So if you miss a stitch or have an extra, or if you're not using a stitch marker and you go, 1 or 2 past where you were supposed to stop, it's not going to change how the overall project ends up. And I like to do kind of color changes as I go, kind of figure out what I think looks good versus what somebody else told me I had to have exactly so many stitches of a certain color, or it's gonna burst into flames or something. I don't know. Some of the patterns I've seen over the years are written really well, so I'm not saying they're not. You can definitely tell that some of these crochet designers have put a lot of time and effort into the patterns that they are creating, and it's awesome. But sometimes the wording on some of them seems like exactly what I said. If you don't do it exactly how they say, it is just going to combust and it will never look right and you will not be happy with it. So I'm kind of on the other end of that. You know, if you're doing this for the reasons I am, it's just to make people happy, right? It's about getting to make something that someone else will enjoy just because I like to make them. And I do sell them, you know. I've got to pay for all that yarn that I go buy to make more things. And some of the extra definitely goes back in my pocket to go and do fun things with my family and my kids. But primarily it just makes me happy to see other people enjoying things that I made. All right, so I have my 15 rows and a toddler that's trying to beat up a toy. I am gonna go ahead and stuff most of this body. Get that all the way down to his head. And with this one, I'm gonna add some rattles. But I didn't have them out already, so I usually like to put 2 when I put them in things like this. So I'm going to put 1 down in here closer to the head, and then I'll kind of stick 1 at the end where his butt is. So put the other one in there. So for closing up our caterpillar, we're going to have a single crochet and a decrease. So we're dropping down to 12 stitches total for this row. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right. So I've got room for some more stuffing in here, but I'm going to go ahead and do 3 of our last 6 decreases to make this hole a little bit smaller, because if you're like me, trying to stuff or trying to crochet when you've already stuffed something full is really irritating. So we'll get all this down in here. Make sure our rattle is nice and secure. I don't like having the rattle touch the outside edges, just because, you know, it's hard. So if you did get bopped in the head by a baby or toddler wielding this thing as a weapon, that rattle isn't going to hit. It's just going to be the soft yarn and stuffing. All right. So then we'll do our last 3 decreases to close this guy's butt up. 1, 2 and 3. I'm going to do a slip stitch, and we'll cut that off. And then if you haven't closed anything like this before, I'm going under the front loop only with my yarn needle, from the outside towards the inside, all the way around. Our last one there. Then we pull it tight, and I usually stick my yarn needle right down through the very center of it. Oop. I'm gonna come out down here in this same dark green area. And when we do that, it creates this nice clean finish. So we can always use our yarn needle to kind of pull that back out. So there's his little body. I am probably going to put some little yellow eyes, just little yarn knots on here for his face. But I'll do that later on. So to do his little feet, little caterpillar legs here, I'm going to use the dark green, and these are very, very easy legs, okay? So we're going to do our slip knot for a chain, and if you have decided to make your caterpillar longer, then you just continue for as long as you need your leg section to be. So this one's a little shorter, probably just because of some of the yarn choices that I made here. And that happens. So repeat it for as many times as you need legs, okay? We're going to do a chain 3, and then we're going to do 1 slip stitch. So we're going to do the second chain from the hook, just like you're doing a little picot stitch, picot, however you say it. And then we're going to do a chain 3, and then skip the first chain from the hook, go in the second one and do a slip stitch, and you just repeat that. Okay, it gives you these little triangle legs hanging down, and then we'll sew the chain part at the top to the body. So 1, 2, 3, and then we'll do our little slip stitch, and then 1, 2, 3, and a slip stitch, 1, 2, 3, and then a slip stitch. And for this green on green guy, he has 7 little feet. Let's see, for the one I just did, he's probably going to be good with 5. Okay, because I don't want them to be too long that they're like, going up the side of his face or anything. So this one, we'll do a quick little chain, and we'll cut off enough of a tail so that we can sew these to the body. And one of the things I love about these hairpins, so I'll make sure we line it up right here. I'm gonna line it up with the first row of that body color. These hairpins will slide right in to help hold these things in place while you're getting them attached. So we want to make sure, I've got his legs a little bit too far in here. So we want to make sure that when we place his legs, they're actually on the sides of his tummy and not the middle of his tummy. All right, so kind of in line with that antenna. I'm gonna go right down underneath that. I need to move this one over too. All right, so then they'll get sewn right there in place. And then once those are done, your caterpillar is finished. So I'll make another set of legs to sew onto this side in just a minute. But happy little rattle caterpillar. And you're done. Super simple, super easy. Doesn't take long at all. I mean, the video is at 40 minutes now, and I stopped to do talking. So you could probably get this done in under 30 minutes and have an adorable little caterpillar to sell or to give away to whomever you would like. So thanks for watching the video. Make sure you hit the like button for the adorable little caterpillars. Subscribe so you can see other videos as they get posted. Make sure you go back and watch some of the older videos. None of them are super seasonal with the exception of like my little jack-o'-lantern buckets. But they're good things to make and have on hand, especially if you are doing craft fairs or things of that nature. If you have things you would like to see me make in the future, pop those in the comments. And happy hooking, crochet nerds. Bye.